Hi guys, this is Omega1 and today I'm making a special video. As you can see, it's a Lego video, but it's not a traditional Lego video. So you guys might be thinking, wait, what is this? The Phantom Blade? I've already seen this. Now this is my Lego Phantom Blade, of which I made a video, and this is actually the Lego Digital Designer file thing. So if you go into the description of my original video, you can actually go to a download link. It will download a file. If you have the program Lego Digital Designer, which is an official Lego free program which works on Mac and Windows. So if you have that, you can open the file, this thing will pop up, and you can make the Phantom Blade yourself. You can do this with my traditional Hidden Blades too. Now I decided to make a video about this because I had quite some comments of people either asking like I cannot download, or I don't want to download because it takes up space, or I don't know, whatever reasons you have not to download this, and they wanted me to make an actual video about this. And I've also had a lot of comments of people not knowing where to put the rubber bands and how to put the strings in, which is very understandable because it's really not clear on the video. So I'm also going to show that later on in the video. So you do have to understand, guys, that making actual stop motion type tutorial takes up a lot of time, and I'm not skilled enough to do edit that stuff, and I don't have enough time. So I decided to just use Lego Digital Designer to go over the building guide and actually show you guys how to do the rubber bands and stuff, give it additional information. So oh, I bumped my computer there. So if you do have, you can actually watch this too if you actually download the file, and if you don't know, if there's something that's unclear, because the building guide in LDD is not optimal, although that this build does work pretty well. But I'm just going to start out. So this is the building mode for Lego Digital Designer. You have building mode, building guide mode, and view mode. View mode, it's a bit weird. As you can see, it's just, you can change the background. What I like the most is that you can explode the model. Boom. I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, apart from that, the viewing mode isn't that special. I think it pops back. Okay, sorry. So yeah, but you can also press F7 or click this button, and then you'll go into building guide mode. Now the first page is always blank. So I'll just go over this quite quickly. You guys better pause the video if it's really necessary. But I'm also going to explain some stuff about the build. So the build starts off with the base of the actual crossbow. So the thing that is going to be resting on your wrist. As you can see, very simple build here. I'm going to go over this quite quickly because this is not too complicated. So this is the base. This will be sitting on your wrist. The pins are facing upwards, so the base of the bow, the actual slider and stuff, will be attached to this. As you can see, you've got a very nice lineup of pins right here, which will connect to the bow. These 4 pins right here will actually attach the model to the gauntlet. You can just take off the gauntlet anytime you want and have the bow apart, so that's pretty cool too. So let's just go through that. The gauntlet itself is quite simple too. Now, one thing about the bottom of the gauntlet, as you can see, I did not have, on the LDD file, I don't have the actual shield because it's not a part that you can use, but I use a very simple lineup of Technic bars, which works the same. It's exactly the same thing. You can just decorate this as you want, but I decided to keep it simple here. So this is the entire gauntlet with the base. And what I like about this gauntlet thing is that any hidden blade that I make, I don't have to worry about making straps or anything. I just make sure that it's five wide, and in length it doesn't really matter. So I can make anything that is 5 wide and attach it to the gauntlet and it'll work. So that's pretty cool. And if you want to experiment yourself, which I really recommend, making weapons, even if they're really simple, it's really nice to have this kind of base to build on. And that comes the actual bow, which does sometimes, the building guide doesn't always work. So the bow itself, these are actually the arms of it, and these are bionicle weapons that I had left from my bionicle models from when I was like a kid. Now you can use this. I attached the string through this little hole, but you could technically just use any Technic bar. It won't look as good, but I think it'll work. But again, it won't look as good. You could also use other weapons. I don't know. I never had Hero Factory or something. Maybe they have better pieces to make crossbows out of. But I like how this looks because it has a nice curve to it. And it just reminds me of the Phantom Blade. So you're basically going to extend the blade slightly with one extension piece, and here you've got one like typical hinge. This little back pin is where the cross pieces are going to be connected to, and this is where the main axle of the bow will be going through. This is the main axle. Something very important about this is a 3-long typical round axle, but it's one with no friction. You have frictionless and friction, and you have pins with friction and with no friction. I think if you don't have these frictionless pins, you could use one with friction, but your rubber band will have to be slightly stronger, I think. I don't know. You really have to experiment with that yourself. But I like having these without friction because that will mean that the bow will shoot out very smoothly. Now, I did not use friction on the cross pieces, but I'll come back to that later. I'm just going to go over the pieces right now. This is the base for both of the bows. Sorry, my mouse wasn't there. Now here is something typical about LEGO Digital Designer. You have a lot of floating pins very often. So this pin, don't worry about it. This is slightly apart, a separate build here. You'll have this, as you can see. So as you can see, you have very simple build here, and then one bar, which is 15 long, I think, will connect everything together. Very important, make sure that your bar is not over this little cross piece here, because this is actually where the guidance rail is going to be on. And also make sure that this little separate piece that you built before is right here, so that there's 3 holes of space, and then you have these things. It's quite asymmetrical right now, but I think they're going to sort it now. Yeah, okay, so now it's symmetrical again. This is the base for the rear guidance rail. this part is a front guidance rail. Well, no, it's not the guidance rail itself. It's the thing that's going to hold the bar that will be like sliding through. And yeah, for now you can turn it, but once the bar is through it, it'll be like motionless. It won't be able to spin. And now this is where you'll basically have to copy this entire other bow arm, but like in mirror image. So the extension again, very simple, with the little piece right here. So you can see that the bow is starting to take shape. And these are the cross pieces. So they're 5 long bars, and you have 1 pin on top of them, as you can see. So yeah, this is something that, again, another floating piece. You can ignore this right now, but this is just how the tip of your dart is going to look. Dart that doesn't really shoot out, but slides out. So this is the actual guidance rail. Now I'm not sure how long this is. I should look this up, but I'll quickly zoom. I won't zoom, but I'll do this. So now you've got a full head view, and I guess it's about, well, this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't know. I'm really not good at the counting stuff. I might look it up later how long it is, but it doesn't really matter too much because it's better that it's too long than that it's too short. It's just that when it slides back the bow, you have to make sure that it's still in here, that the guidance rail doesn't shoot out. But you'll see what I mean. So here, very important, on the guidance rail you put another hinge piece. Now this will not actually be a hinge, and very important, it looks like this, like these pieces, it really looks like it, but there's one very major difference, and that is that right here you have a cross axle connection. So instead of this being round, this is a cross axle, and this is very important because if it's not this way, your bow will just move around and it won't work at all. So that's very important. Oh yeah, and now they'll start putting the frame. This is kind of the rubber band frame on top of here. And the second cross piece. So you can, it gets a little chaotic out here, and a bit asymmetrical, but that's alright. So the cross pieces are now not connected yet, but they are ready to be connected. And this is a 3 long crossbar which goes through the thing here, and so you'll notice that you won't be able to spin this around. And very important, you have to not push it down entirely. It cannot, if it goes through this hole, your bow will just be fixed in place. So it's very important that there's at least 2 stages on top of here. 1 stage equal to the pin, and 1 extra stage. You'll see why there are 2 stages later on. And this is the rear guidance rail where the other part will be sliding through. And now it's not floating, but you'll have to put this right here. This is again the same piece as here. It has a cross connection, very important. And again, we'll be running through another 3 long axle kind of thing, which is 3 long and has 2 stages on top of it. And this is a rear guidance rail. Again, the length, you'll have to measure that up yourself. I'll quickly go into building guide modes later on to check how long they are, but yeah. And this is the housing, well, not housing, this is the part that will hold the rubber band. Very important, again, this is a part, you have 2 separate parts in LEGO that look really alike. You've got the one with 2 round holes, and the one with 1 round hole and 1 cross. And of course you want to have a cross because otherwise your rubber band will be kind of jiggly and you don't want to have that. So it's got to be cross, and then you've got to stop here. So there's 1 stage at the end, and then you've got the rubber band thing. So you'll notice that if it's completely slided out, the bow will be actually slid back a slightly bit more to the front. You can see there's a little bit of like margin here. That's simply because I cannot twist these pieces enough so that they'll actually be completely extended, but that's not a problem. And this is the part that will hold the rubber band. You'll have to run the rubber band through the small, like, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see. Here you can see it. You'll have to put your rubber band through here. Don't worry about putting the rubber band in right now. I'm just explaining beforehand. At the end of the video, I'll explain in real life. I'll show you guys how to attach it, so don't worry. And this is the T-piece that connects the cross pieces with the guidance rail. Now, right now you'll notice that these parts are still kind of moving because they're still loose on their axis, sorry. Oh yeah, and here, this is the part, the knob that will hold the string which will be attached to your finger. And now, yeah, some more stuff for the frame, the rubber band frame. And this is very important. This small piece here, which is this one, is it's a half slab, you could call it, with two cross pieces. What this will do, you'll have to put on two, of course, but what this will do is it will connect these and this long piece so that they'll act as one rail, and it'll connect the entirety of the mechanism with the cross pieces and the rail together. So it's a very important piece. This should not be this one, it wouldn't work. It has to be this. I'm sure you could find other ways to connect it like this, but yeah. So about the cross piece pins, you can make these frictionless like pins, but I don't think the mechanism would work that well. I mean, locking mechanism, because the locking the bow in position mechanism depends greatly from friction. So I think you have to be careful with that kind of stuff. Again, try it yourself. I just made it, my model works, and I never really changed it. So this again is another floating pin, which is right between these two blue pieces, and they'll be all connected by this kind of piece. So you'll see right now, you'll put two of these on here, and this little black piece right here, the rubber band is going to be connected to it from here all the way up to here, but you'll see that later on. So put a second one on here and a second one right here. I mean, a little mistake, the pin is slightly outwards. Don't worry about that, it should be completely inwards. So the reason I had 3 stages on this pin is because you've got one stage is like the connection to the rail, and then one stage where it goes through the T-piece which is connected to the crossbars, and then one stage which locks them in place so that the two pieces will act as one single rail. And then you put it on your gauntlet, and then you have your phantom blade. Again, very important, make sure that the back is aligned quite carefully. I'll quickly replay that so you can see that several pieces will connect. I think there's no mistake, this is quite alright. You've got one free hole here. So that is the phantom blade. I'll quickly go into view mode. That's the phantom blade. I hope you guys liked it. I hope this is now clear. But I'm first going to go and show you guys the rubber bands. So now I'm going to show you guys how to attach the rubber bands and all the strings to your phantom blade. It's not that complicated, but it's quite useful for you guys, that you can quickly see some useful things to know when you're assembling this model. Sorry for the buzzing sound, it's my lamp. I want you guys to have enough light to see everything, and you'll see that's flashing a bit. Alright, sorry, I don't have anything else. Oh, well, just died. Yeah, no, alright, I'm just going to turn it off. Never mind about that, it doesn't matter too much. I hope you guys can see it. I hope there's not too much glare. But yeah. So, I took off the lower part of the gauntlet because it's much easier to put down like that. I suggest you guys do that too, it's really useful. So, the most important thing, the first thing you're going to do is attach the string that will be attached to your finger. The first thing you'll do, is attaching the main, bow string. I'm not sure how it's called. I know how it's called in Dutch, but not in English. So that's the most important thing, because it makes a bow look that much cooler, of course, and more realistic. So, very simply, slide the blade outwards to its maximum, measure up the distance, tie a loophole in these small holes right here. I put them, you can see right here. This is a bionicle blade and has some holes in it, and that's where I put the string through. It doesn't really matter too much how you do that. This is the most simple thing, I think. But now you're first going to add the string for your finger, and then you're going to add the rubber band. So I'm quickly going to take off the rubber band. I do have to say that this rubber band is not too good, because it's still too strong. I need to wear it out a bit more, because my locking mechanism doesn't work too well, because yeah, it's too strong, but that's alright. So what you're going to do, and quickly going to take it apart just a little bit better. What you're going to do is you're going to have the string attached to this little knob. This little knob that you put on the T part. So this is a sliding part, and right here on this little knob you'll have your string. I set this on the LDD part too, I think. So you'll have, simply take a string, and very importantly, make it too long. It's better to have a too long string than it being too short, because if you end up finishing everything and you feel like it's too long, which will be the case, you can just try and tie knots into it, which I did too, and it will make it slightly shorter, and you might have to tie like a lot of knots in it. I mean, you can see this in one of my traditional hidden blades. Just take it over here. You can see I tied quite a big knot in here, and it's not pretty, I know, but it's really worth the effort making sure that's long enough. Now, the thing is, on my traditional hidden blades, the string is pretty straightforward. You can just have the blade extended or retracted and just measure it up. But the Phantom blade actually makes it slightly more difficult. And the reason for this is because when you retract the blade, you'll notice that the string actually gets pulled back too, as you can see. So if I pull it back out entirely again, sorry, you'll notice if you watch this string, they'll be pulled back. So if you're making the string, first attach it to the knot, and then put the thing on your arm, and very importantly, have the blade retracted, because this is very important. Have the blade retracted, tie a knot to this, put the string doesn't, very important too, it doesn't just go to the side, it goes between these two little pillar things. And here, if you're right-handed, if you want to wear it on your right hand, it should be on the right side. And if you're left-handed, it should be on the left side, of course, which is pretty obvious, but it's just a little quirk. And it's important that you pull it back, put it quite clearly on the right side, because there's going to be a pin right in the middle between these things, this black pin. Oh, sorry, this black pin. So you retract it, put it on your wrist, tie the knot, put it through this pillar, and then you're simply going to see, like, okay, when do I want to trigger the blade? For me, I've got it at this length, because it's quite quite good, because it triggers when I do this, and that means that my palm is still quite comfortably sorry, keep bumping into the camera. My palm is quite comfortable, so it's not like I have to stretch it like a lot, but it's also not like it's too short, because that's really annoying, because with even the slightest motion of this, it'll trigger your blade. So you want to have it long enough, but also not too long so that you have to completely splay your hand and you possibly just open the gauntlet by yourself. So that is something you have to measure out for yourself. I usually just tie a loop in the end. You could also use something else, which I used, quite recently, which is something I got with my Mindstorms, and that's this kind of like a rubber tie, and you can use it as like a ring too. But that doesn't really matter. So that is how it's best. So again, make it too long, and then tie knots into it to make it better. But do that. I suggest the tying of the knots, do that on the end, because then you can actually judge how it works with the rubber band, because it does behave differently. Now, once you've put in the string, you're going to put in the rubber band. This is not too tricky, but you just have to know how to do this. You have the two pillars here, and you have the frame that holds it together right here. As you can see, I'm not putting it completely. But very important, you have a little black piece, the black pin right here. And this is where the rubber band is going to be connected to. So you take the rubber band, put it only around the black pin, as you can see, right, like this. And then put it in there. Now, very important, also make sure that your string is on the right side, on the correct side, either left or I screwed it up. Sorry, I'm not too good at this. But again, make sure your string is on the right side. So you just attach it, as you can see. Now it's quite clearly on the black piece right here. It doesn't focus too well. No, that doesn't work well. Anyways, it's right here. And then you'll pull it back entirely, as far as you can, around this piece also, and then you'll put it, quickly put back the blade, and you'll put it on this black piece right at the end. And you'll see that these Lego pieces have a slight cavity, and that's where you'll put the rubber band. So if you take it, you can just go like this, and as you can see, it fits in very nicely, just like this. It just fits in and it stays in place really well. And that's how it's connected. Again, make sure that the rubber band is around this entire thing. Doesn't matter how it interferes with the actual string, and that's how it works. And now if I do like this, bam, shoots open. Again, this one is slightly too strong, so I have to manually really pull it back firmly. And now if I take the string and I pull it, bam, it triggers. But it got stuck. Yeah, sometimes it does get stuck, because if you put it in the rubber band at first, it still has to like settle in place. But it does work pretty well. So I hope you guys like this. I hope you guys like the model. I think you do like it. But I had some people saying like, yeah, it's not really clear on the video where to put the rubber bands, and also the building guide is not always optimal. I might make this kind of a video for my traditional hidden blade too, because I had some questions about that too. But the thing is, the LDD file for my Phantom blade works really well, but the rubber band is really quite complicated. And my traditional hidden blade is completely the opposite. The rubber bands are quite straightforward, but the LDD file doesn't work too well, because you have a lot of floating pieces just floating around, and it's very awkward to build. So I might make that in the future too, of my hidden blades, so that it's easier for you guys to build my models, because I really like the idea. I really like it when you guys build my models. Again, don't hesitate to send me pictures or video. Really do. I like watching it, and I might make some shout outs for it in the link in the description. So as you can see, I'm not really good at ending videos. Omega1 signing out. Thank you guys for watching. Leave feedback in the comments if there's still something unclear about this Phantom blade, but I hope that will not be the case. Omega1 signing out.